Okay, hello, good afternoon. Um, please, can we start?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, we
So,
can.
but where are the rest?
Okay, we are here.
You are not there. You're a class of 30, is it
They,
32?
they,
But I
they will
see,
be joining. They will be
I
joining
see
us
less
alone.
than 19. Okay, so I posted a question in the LMS. I don't know if you've seen it and if you've tried. Please, have you seen it? Evans, have you seen it?
Yes, we have.
Okay, and have you tried it?
We are yet to try our hands on it.
Hey, why is that?
The deadline is on the 18th. We are
Oh,
planning to.
okay. Anyway,
Okay.
okay. So, so you are waiting for 18.
Some of us have already started working on it.
Yes.
You started, but you've not completed it
By 18th, it will be all done.
by 18th. Okay. Okay, so it means you'll submit it to me by 18th and we'll discuss it next week. Is that it?
Yes, Lord.
Yes, Doc.
Hey, but that wasn't the agreement. Anyway, I thought the agreement was that we're going to discuss them today. Okay. So let's start with mechanism design. And I don't know, I have a challenge with my pen. I don't know how you people call it. You see that pen that you guys have been using to write on the tablet. And so I'm going to use a pre-written one that I had shared with the others. I'm going to use that because if I should use my hand, it wouldn't it wouldn't be as perfect as a stylus pen, right? So let's stick to this. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, Doc.
Yes,
So
Doc.
okay, so just as we did in the initial stages, I was telling you that I prefer to be writing so that you follow what I'm doing. But unfortunately, I'm not able to use the stylus pen on the laptop. I don't know why, whether I have a problem with the pen or, and so I'm not able to do that. And so I would share with you the pre-written ones. And if you have any difficulty, I would use my finger to, rewrite or correct anything. So let me start. So we are going to look at mechanism design. In the initial classes, I think we were looking at the game theory, right? So we're looking at games that had already been designed, okay? So if, can you see my slide?
No,
Oh, please.
No,
Okay.
no.
Can you still see? Evans, it looks like you are in the UK or something. Evans, how is the UK?
No, I'm in Ghana.
Okay. It's like the people in your background they are speaking American, sorry, British English, and I hardly hear. Anyway, so let's proceed. So basically, when we talk about mechanism design, we are just looking at designing the rules of a game. Okay, so we have seen what a game is. We have seen what uh, the elements in the game should be. But at the end of the day, have we ever asked ourselves that these games that we are playing, what is the focus? Like, why are we even playing those games? And whoever decided to set up the game, what was the motive? You understand? So now we are putting ourselves into the designer, the designer's shoes. So assuming if it is in the case of a game theory, right? And I'm using game theory in the, a prisoner's dilemma, and I'm using the prisoner's dilemma literally here. Assuming it's in the case of a prisoner's dilemma, the ones designing the games, I would say, would be the police, right? Now, in this case, why are the police even designing that game? That's the first point. Why are they designing that game? What is the focus? What is the purpose? You get it? Basically, the purpose or the objective is to help to create institutions or protocols, right? And these protocols are to help everybody in a particular system. So just look at um, uh, each game as a means to an end, right? For a collective good. So in this case, we are looking at how do we satisfy everybody in a particular system, okay? So how do we design the game? Now, the game should be such that um, uh, if we are looking at outcomes in terms of social benefits, then we have to design the game so that at the end of the day, it doesn't favor a group of people and make another group worse off. But it's supposed to be such that at the end of the day, it's going to make everybody satisfied. In this case, we are not even looking at uh, giving things to people or, giving some money or anything to people, but we are talking about also satisfaction. And in economics, we are not only looking at what you would receive fiscally, but also the satisfaction that you have at the end of the day. So on the slide, we say that the focus is basically to create institutions or protocols that satisfy certain desired outcomes, assuming that the individual agents interacting through the institutions will act strategically and may hold private information that is relevant to the decision at hand. Now, this point is also very necessary. The last point that has got to do with individuals holding private information. You know that we are human beings, so definitely people would want to act for their own benefits instead of the collective goal. So if we should give Evans the opportunity, let's assume that we are looking at uh, contributing, right? Contribution in the class, and it's for birthday celebration, right? And we know that the class is going to end maybe in April, for example, um, or May. And Evan's birthday is coming. So Evan's birthday is in April or something. And at the end of the day, we are contributing. So if it gets to your turn, then we give them the money to you. Now, Ivan's knowing very well that his birthday is, within the period whilst we are in school, he's likely to, be excited about this game and all that. But if we should pick Jennifer, whose birthday perhaps is around December, she might not be excited about it because by the time we get to December, everybody had left and she wouldn't be able to benefit from that particular initiative. So at the end of the day, people have some private information. And Evans would never also tell you that, oh, my birthday is coming up, so let's do it. So you see that when we start with the strategy, Evans will be pushing for it. Let's go for it. Let's do it. Guys, why don't you go for it? Let's just do it. This one, it will be very nice. Charlie, just imagine that one of us our birthday, then we just present these. So Evans will be pushing for it, knowing very well that his birthday is just around the corner. I hope you get it. So at the end of the day, people have some private information. So when we are playing a game, just as even in the game of cards, you know what you are holding. So in most cases, how you are going to act and what you are going to play and all that will also depend on some information that you also have. Now, whoever is designing the game, know that people wouldn't be willing to share certain information. Okay, so that person knowing that would have to design the game such that at the end of the day we have some equilibrium, and that equilibrium should be an outcome that everybody will be satisfied at the end of the game. So basically, we are looking at designing the game, right? And at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we are able to um, uh, achieve what we call the system-wide objective. Okay. So we are saying that mechanisms induce a game among strategic agents and in order to realize a system-wide objective or social choice function in an equilibrium of a game. All right, then we can also say that mechanism design is concerned with settings where a policymaker or social planner face the problem of aggregating the announced preference of multiple agents into a collective social system-wide decision when the actual preferences of the agents are not publicly known. Even if you are an assemblyman, right? Even if you are an assemblyman and you have some benefits coming from the government for your constituents, at the end of the day, you realize that even the individuals within the constituents, their preferences will not be aligned. So individuals within the constituents, some might prefer this, others might prefer that. You would have a case where some prefer school, okay? Now, they will be excited if they say, oh, so we are putting up a classroom block for the community. Now, if perhaps I don't have a children, if I don't have a children, this particular announcement will not excite me because what am I using it for, right? But perhaps maybe or I even have children, but they are older and they are out of school. So putting up school structure wouldn't benefit me in any way. So I'm looking at you creating jobs. For example, you building some factories or certain things that my child can easily get a job. So depending on what is happening, you realize that in most cases, people have their preferences, right? And they act based on their preferences. But these preferences are not known to everybody in most cases. Was it last year or last 2 years when we went to the polls? I don't really remember. What was it last year? Has it been 1 year already? It's
Yes,
been one
Yes,
2024.
yes.
1 year, 3 months.
Oh, so we've entered the second week. 1 year, 3 months. So I'm sure when most of you went to the polls, you had your own reasons for voting for whoever that you voted for. Okay. I mean, some people would vote out others, maybe because like Charlie, these people they are hand time, or these people they are this. Some people will also say that no, let me, we need some change here and there. Other people will also say that this policy, how did it benefit me? So, and then another person will say that no, I think that I like this because maybe I want to uh, start some small businesses, and I've heard that I'll be given the opportunity to start maybe a small poultry farm here and there. And so let me. So each of us had our preferences. I mean, some people simply voted because maybe somebody was arrogant. Some people simply voted because maybe like they feel that uh, it's tenor by tenor. So after 8 years, someone else should come, right? Some people also voted because of policies, maybe because this policy, in the person's view, didn't even go on well. Some people also voted because somebody didn't sack his finance minister. Another person also voted because of what the person heard from the other side. So everybody voted based on some preferences, which is not publicly known. I hope you understand. But at the end of the day, the design of the game, which is that everybody goes to the poll to vote. Your votes should be confidential. We have a campaign period where each party would more or less tell us about their manifesto and the rest. They open a window and then closes the window. After that window, nobody campaigns again. The fact that on the day of election, nobody wears party colors. The fact that, you see what I'm talking about? So this is a design. So you would realize that, and the fact that it has to be, is it 50 plus 1? Okay, it's a design. So at the end of the day, whatever results that come out of this game, everybody is satisfied. Satisfied in the sense that you don't feel cheated because you believe that the mechanism that they design for that particular game is right, it's okay. And based on that, indeed, even if you lose, you have indeed lost the game. I do hope you understand what I'm saying. So the designer of the game is designing the game such that at the end of the day, everybody is satisfied. So we have some sort of equilibrium where we you know that indeed, if I even lost this game, I lost it cleanly or plainly, or however you want to term it. Okay, so basically, if you are talking about mechanism design, this is what we are looking at. And it says that mechanism design requires the designer to solve a decision or optimization problem with incomplete information or incomplete specification. At the end of the day, we don't know what people want. We don't really know what is behind what they want to achieve. You can even think of your church, right? You can even think of your church. You can think of your institution. And all of a sudden, somebody comes up with a plan or with an idea that we have to buy this or we have to do this. Now, if the person just sits in his home and then bring the supplier, you are not excited because you feel that, oh no, why? This particular thing that this person says we should buy, it looks like it is his brother or his sister that has a company and the person is trying to, get money from us, which is why he's saying we should do this. But if it has been designed such that, well, I bring the idea or I say we need this, but this particular person is the one who would look at whatever it is, maybe in terms of procurement, and then another person does that, and then this person does this. So at the end of the day, everybody is satisfied. Let me use your class as an example, the two classes. So you have two different classes, the January cohort and then the June cohort. So the January cohorts are fairly new, right? So just imagine that I tell you that, oh, I have um two topics, right? Now, let's pick one topic from uh, or no, let me give you the opportunity to go and then design to go and then bring one topic so that I'll examine you guys on it. Okay. And then the January class had not really studied some portion of this particular topic because they are relatively new. But then the June class had studied this. Now, obviously, the June class would want to push for a particular topic. So let's say demand, right? So we did demand somewhere June or maybe August. The January class had not even done it before. So we just introduced it in one of the classes. And then we are saying that, okay, so we have three topics. Let's examine you on these three topics. The June class is likely to push for the demand topic simply because it's something that they've been learning over and over again. Okay. Now, if indeed I agree that I'm going to examine you on the demand topic, the January class will not be happy. They will feel cheated because at the end of the day, they will feel that no, you could have picked another course, but not this. But if I design the game such that, you know what, each of you, I have these three games, but each of you should vote. Okay. So maybe you are all voting, telling me the topic that you would want us to choose. And at the end of the day, you all vote and the majority choose the demand or the majority choose another topic. Everybody will be satisfied, right? So even if the January people didn't even like the demand, they would be okay because they were given the opportunity to fairly play the game. I hope you understand this. So the person being happy at the end of the day has nothing got to do with whether the thing went for him or that, but we are talking about the designing. So you, the designer, would have to make sure that you are designing the game such that at the end of the day, everybody is happy. Unfortunately for you, you don't know what each of these people, the kind of information that each of them have. You have no idea about their preferences and all that. Then we also say that in an equilibrium of the induced game, the desired system-wide solution is implemented. And I think that is what I have tried explaining over and again. So let's look at this particular, a classic example, right? Now, this is a game, okay? And you would realize that most of the things that we've been doing, some of them stem from, the ideas stem from this game. And then a second game that I would be telling you about. So this is a mother with two kids, okay? And this mother has to design a game so that they share the a cake equally. So assuming um, you are a parent, you have two children, and you are supposed to give them, I mean, the cake is whole, so you are supposed to give them the cake. Now, this is the mechanism that the mother used. Note that if the mother decides to cut the cake into two, you see when sometimes, I don't know whether any of you have experienced this. If any of you have experienced this, you would realize that sometimes when you are sharing something for two people, they look at you keenly as you are breaking, even if it is food, if it is whatever it is, they look at you keenly as to how you are breaking it. No matter how hard you try, somebody would either pick the one far, even far from the person because in the person's mind, that one is bigger than the one in front of him or her. I don't know if you understand
Yeah.
this, you
We
feel
get
it.
you, Doc.
Yes.
Right. So when you're sharing something with somebody, you realize that two people, as you are breaking it, they are looking at you, even if it is money, right? Church. Sometimes two people two people have their wedding anniversary together on the same day, or even funeral, or even naming ceremony, and they did it together, and they are going to share the money. Sometimes you are there and you are thinking, ah, Charlie, but if you look at the guests, mine are many, oh, eh? My guest is many. Why will they share the money equally like that? You get the point. So sometimes people will be like, but my guest brought big cars and the rest. Obviously, my guests are putting in the 50 Ghana cedis and the 100 Ghana cedis. And then this one cedi that the people have. Then the other woman, look at the pictures. The pictures that they are taking. Only a few people came for this woman. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So even as the church thinks that if we split the money, since it was an offering bowl and we are putting everything in, we are splitting the money equally. Somebody might not really be, would feel cheated in a way. So in mechanism design, we try to make sure that we have that system where everybody is satisfied at the end of the day. So this is the case of a mother who has a cake and she would want to share it for her two children, among the two children. So now this is how she designed the game. She decided that let one child, I mean, you can decide that you toss a coin so that you would have whoever will play first. Okay. Now the first child will cut the cake. Okay. And the second child will pick first. Now, for this game, it's a very simple design, but see how it's going to make everybody satisfied. In this case, I'm using that word for now, and then later we'll use the technical term. So at the end of the day, the boy who is cutting, or the girl, whoever is cutting the cake first, knows that he or she wouldn't have the opportunity to pick first, right? And so the person will make sure that he or she is cutting it equally. So in the person's eyes, I've cut the cake equally. In the person's mindset, he's cut the cake equally. So whichever cake that the girl picks, it's fine, right? Whichever cake that she picks is fine because the cake is equal. I'm the one who cut it. So me, I know it is equal. So she can pick whichever. Now, the girl didn't get the opportunity to cut the cake, but she got the opportunity to pick first, assuming she's the second. So she got the opportunity to pick first. Okay. So assuming the boy comes first and he cuts the cake, the girl comes second, but she got the opportunity to pick first. So each of them is satisfied one way or the other. At the end of the day, they are happy. Guys, I hope you understand this. So
Yes.
what the mother had done is that she's in each child's mind made sure that everyone is okay. And we call her the social planner or the mechanism designer in this case, because she is the one who brought up this whole idea for the game to be played. So the game in this case, we have the strategy for the boy and the strategy for the girl. Now the boy cuts the cake and the girl picks one. The actions, the boy strategy would be either cut it equally, cut it unequally, whatever it is that you can think of based on the games that we have looked at. But the girl's strategies are to pick one. Either she picks the small one or she picks the big one. Whichever it is, at the end of the day, the boy thinks that he's cut the cake equally, and the girl also knows that he's picked in her mind, he's picked the one she feels is best. Okay. So the mechanism designed for cutting the cake here is what I have explained. What we need to know is what we call the incentive alignment in this case, okay? Now, to note that the first child has the incentive to cut the cake equally, and then the other person also has the incentive to pick the bigger cake. So each of them at the end of the day has that, you know, assurance that I did what I feel would make me satisfied. Then we have what we call the fairness assurance. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, because the second child, though the person was second, right? But the person got to choose first. Okay. So she knows that at the end of the day, she had picked the best cake or the best slice. Okay. So let's look at the outcome. We say that the mechanism leads to an equal and fair distribution of the cake where both children are content with the results. Okay. Please, any question as far as this is concerned before I proceed with the second game?
Yeah, Doc, madam.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so the woman here is the mechanism designer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because she designed the game, right? And at the end of the day, she basically designed this game so that both parties or both players will be happy with whatever results there is.
Okay. Thank you. Then our parents are really serious economists then, oh, but they
I
didn't learn all this.
tell, we all are. We all are. Please, any question? Please, any question? We don't have any question. Okay. So in this case, in general term, when we talk about um, incentive alignment, what comes to mind? Please, what comes to mind? Before I explain, I just wanted to see if you have any idea of what comes to mind as far as the incentive alignment is concerned.
And I think
Yes.
incentive alignment, I'm thinking about Nash equilibrium.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so explain further.
The reason being that let's say child one is quarter the decision of child two, where she will benefit equally. So that is why. So that she's looking at how possible best she can get the optimum payoff from her decision.
Okay. Okay. Right. So thank you for that. So basically, when we talk about incentive alignment, right, we know that as the designers, we know that we have this certain information that we don't know. As in each player have certain information or they have certain preferences that we have no idea of. Okay. Now, these preferences, you can call them preference or interest. okay, that we have no idea of. And so when we talk about incentive alignment, we are talking about you being able to structure your game, either the payoffs or the goals, so that you make sure that at the end of the day, the preferences that the individual have align with that of maybe if it's an organization or if it is a nation or if it is a group of people, the interest of that group as well. So it has to have that sort of social goal, okay? Or what we call maybe the long-term organization, the long-term objective of either the organization or the group or the situation or the society or whichever the system or the game that you are looking at, the context that you are looking at the game in. So in this particular case, at the end of the day, the woman wants peace in the house, isn't it? She wants peace of mind in the house. At the end of the day, she wants to make sure that she had shared the cake equally and everybody is satisfied. So that will be what we call the social interest in this game. So at the end of the day, if that is what we are looking for, or maybe the social welfare, if that is what we are looking for, then the children are also greedy in one way or the other. So how do we get them? How do we get them to act in a way that in the long run, we are also going to get what we call the social welfare? So if it is an organization, if you are running a company, it is the same thing. People would have their own interest. You would have some people who would want to come to work to, learn from others. People who come to work. I mean, we all go to work for money, isn't it? But at the end of the day, you also have that, some outputs that you need to, drive at the end of the day. And so why don't you align the output with that kind of incentive? So the more you work, the more you get the money, right? So at the end of the day, because the people want to get money, they are going to work more. And the organization gets the work done, and the people also get their money, and everybody is happy. Okay, so basically, what you are looking at as far as incentive alignment is concerned is making sure that you are structuring the game such that the individual players, the interest of these individual players in the long run would sort of align or will support whatever social welfare that you are trying to achieve. So at the end of the day, the first child trying to cut it so that if the other child picks it, she wouldn't pick the bigger one. It's also making sure that you have that equality, right? And at the end of the day, because the second child is also picking the cake, it means that she's also satisfied because she feels that she's picked the best out of it. So everybody is happy. You've had that equality and you have that peace of mind. The mother wanted some peace of mind in the house, and she's gotten that peace of mind in the house. So basically, this is what we look at as far as incentive, sorry, as far as, yes, the incentive mechanism alignment is concerned.
Uh,
Any question?
Yeah, Prof, question.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So the main motive here, the designer should concentrate or concern with, is it the preferences or measure the social welfare that the person wants to achieve, or both of them combined under the incentive alignment?
If you say the preferences, which of the preferences are you talking about?
Yeah, maybe the individuals or the companies. So in this example that you give, let's say that the children.
So you see that in this case, you are not really sure of what the people really, really want, right? But if you speculate that if you decide to cut the cake, maybe somebody is not going to be happy, right? Let's say a classic case where the boy likes the part where the icing is blue, or where there is a cherry on the icing, right? And perhaps the girl also likes the I mean, she doesn't mind. She wants a bigger cake, right? Now, if I am the boy and I'm cutting the cake, because the cherry is really, really my interest. Now, nobody knows that the cherry is really my interest. I can decide to cut the cake such that where the cherry is will be smaller, isn't it? This is the same game where the cherry is smaller and then the other side is bigger. Now, the girl is likely to pick the bigger piece, leaving the cherry for me, right? Even with this game, both are happy because each of them got the result that the person they wanted. Now, assuming the girl even wanted a cherry, she got a cherry with a smaller cake, and the boy will get no cherry, but with a bigger cake. Both of them will be happy because the boy will be like, okay, it's fine, but I still got the bigger cake. After all, he is the one who cut it, not the mother. I hope you understand what I mean. So, in whichever case there is, the designer of the game is designing such that though I may not know specifically what it is that you want, but whatever action that you take at the end of the day should bring the optimal results for everybody. So that's the whole idea.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the second game might also help your question. So the second game is a game of I don't know, but I'm sure that I'm sure the Muslims are also familiar with this game because we have it in the Hindus and the Indians. They also this game. For the Christians, you know of the King Solomon in the Bible, right? You remember the story of King Solomon where there were two women who had babies, and each of them went to bed with their baby. And when they woke up, it was only one live baby because apparently the other woman had slept on her baby and the baby had died. Please, I hope you remember that story. The Christians, where are they? Help me with
Yes,
this story.
Doc, we remember.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
was even there.
Yeah,
Yes, Doc, we do.
you do. So what happened in the story? Anybody to tell me, help me with what happened in the story.
Okay.
Hello, Doc.
Yes,
Hey, Alasa, are you a Christian?
What happened was
it's
there were
Peter. Okay,
two women, and one, they all gave birth around the same time.
okay.
Both slept, and one woke up with a dead baby, then went to switch with the live one. So when the mother woke up, the other woman also woke up. They found out that this dead baby isn't for her, but rather the live one the other lady is claiming. So it has to go to the king. And the king said, whose own is this? Then the woman, they were all claiming the live one. And the king asked the servant to bring a sword. That now, I'll cut the live one into two and the dead one also into two, so that each woman will end up with a half dead piece and a alive piece. So knowing very well that the real mother would have compassion for the baby, but the other woman who had the dead one was claiming that yes, that is fair. Cut the babies into two so that each one will have half of each. But the other woman said, no, don't do that. At least you give it to her. If not, at least the baby will be alive. Then the king decided that no, the one who had the compassion is the real mother. I think that's what happened.
Right, Peter, you didn't follow Jesus for fun. Okay, so thank you for that. Though you denied him, and we are going to bury him soon.
Peter, I have
For
to
the
go for your
salvation of the
anointing.
realm, I had
But thank you. That was a good one. So, guys, this is the whole story, right? Now, let's see. The designer is who? The king, isn't it? Now we have I would say the players or the agents or however you would want to term them. And then the game in itself is what the king did in order to elicit the truth. So, in this particular game, what we wanted to achieve, if you were in the palace on that day, you would be dumbfounded. You would be wondering, so what do we do? Now, each of them is claiming, at the time, they didn't have DNA. Okay, so it wasn't that easy. So, what do we do? So, if you were part of the elders who were in the palace, you would be wondering, what do we do? So, for everybody's good, we were looking for what? The truth. So, this is a game where the main objective, the collective objective, is to elicit the truth, right? So, we are saying that in this particular game, what the king did was that he asked for a sword and said he was going to cut the baby into two and then split it for the women. Obviously, if you are a mother and the baby belongs to you, you wouldn't watch for them to cut your baby into two. But the other one person who feels that, I mean, everybody knows that once they cut the baby into two, the baby dies. So, cutting it so that Kojo to all of us, right? So none of us will have a baby. So at the end of the day, that act alone from the mother and then from the other woman brought out the truth. Please, I hope you understand. So in this particular game, we know what the problem is, right? The mechanism here is the king deciding to cut the baby into two. Then we have the incentive structure, okay? The incentive structure is such that the king has designed it so that each of these women will act in a way that will bring out the truth. So their individual interest will help us to achieve the collective goal. Please, was it Abraham? Abraham was the one who asked the question whether the the game should be, the incentive alignment should be structured with response to the people's preference or
Sure.
okay. So Abraham, so you realize that in this game, the king has no idea what the interests were, right? But he knows that at the end of the day, we want the truth. And so if I do this, the people would act in a way that will help us get uh, the truth from the women. So he didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know that this person is the mother and that she, because both women, for all you know, both women were even crying when they came. I give him my baby. Why are you taking my baby? And this one, too, the baby is mine. And I mean, sometimes even the one who is lying can even cry more than. So the king might not know. But then you, the designer, will have to structure it such that whatever outcome there is should align with the collective goal. Okay, so at the end of the day, this brought about the truth revelation, and we are saying that the mechanism is designed to elicit truth by observing emotional and moral responses rather than relying on unverifiable claims. So what they said are claims that we did not know, but then once we observe their behavior after we propose the game, then we'll be able to know the truth at the end of the day. So the outcome, we are saying that the king, using the women's reaction as a signal, correctly identifies the true mother and ensures justice, illustrating a successful truth eliciting mechanism. So guys, we have seen what a game is. Now we are looking at how do we design the game. We've seen that for you to design a game, you have to think of the collective goal, okay? And you have to design the game such that individual players, right, whatever the individuals are doing at the end of the day would support the collective goal or will align with the collective goal. So I think, I don't know, but let me see if I can get two people giving me two games on top of their minds. You can use your home or you can use your office. Your home or your office. So you can talk about the problem, then you talk about the mechanism that you feel is the game here, or I mean the mechanism that we are looking at, and then how do we make sure that we have some incentive alignment? So how does that game ensure incentive alignment? Is incentive alignment in this case. So please, I'm waiting for two examples, only two. Oh, no one.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
We could talk about government.
Pastor Fred.
Yes. Hello,
Pastor
madam.
Fred, have we met?
Please, I'm not sure.
Oh, why is that? Today, after the class, you pray for us.
All right, I'll do that. So,
Okay.
government tender and bidding. I think
Government.
tender and bidding for contracts.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the government want to award construction contracts, and the problem here is that contractors, they know the true costs of the whole project, but the government doesn't. So the government will come up with a mechanism like competitive bidding, with rules and all that, where they will be invited, and the lowest qualified bid wins.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, how does it align with the social welfare? I wanted you to explain a little bit how we are going to achieve some incentive alignment.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Please, he said how it's aligned with
How we are going to achieve or how it's going to bring about some incentive alignment at the end of the day.
okay, with regards to the that with the government tender, with regards to social welfare, it makes it to be, let me see, how do I put it?
Okay, so Pastor Fred, let me not stretch you too much, but that is a really, really good example. That's a very good example. And even within this tender, you could have several mechanisms in there, right? Depending on whichever stage of the process that you are looking at. So at the end of the day, we want to build a structure, okay? We want to build a school for a particular community. I don't know the cost of the school as a government. I have no idea how much it's going to cost for us to put up the structure. Please let's forget about corruption and every other thing as far as this example is concerned, and then think of a clean state, right, where everything is fair and people allow the system to work. So in this particular system, what the government wants to do is that he wants to build a school, okay? So he doesn't know, he has no idea how much it's going to cost. Now, there are lots of people who want to build this, right? There are lots of people who want to come and then, build this structure for the government. So the government decides that, you know what? Let's see. Bring your quotations, right? Tell me how the number of materials you need to build this. Tell me how long it's going to take to build this, and then tell me the cost. And then the government tells them that each of you should bring me a document like that. At the end of the day, whoever brings the document and the price is relatively low, I'm going to take that person. What the government has done is that the government is making sure that he gets value for money, right? So he doesn't want people to just come and put up something and then say that it is something dollars and claim the money and leave without putting up proper structures. Now, another part is that the government says that before before we even say that go ahead, we have to have a committee. Now, as part of the committee process, everybody should bring their quotations in a sealed envelope. So don't tell me how much you want to build the structure for, and don't tell your friend. So put it in a sealed envelope. When you bring it, the day we would open up everybody's seal, everybody should be there. So all the people who said they want to build, now put your quotations in a sealed envelope. On maybe so and so date, you all have to come here. When you come here, we will open the envelopes one after the other and read out to you how much each of you is willing to put up the structure for. So they do that. At the end of the day, what is happening? They are trying to assure the people of fairness, right? So if you go and they are now tearing the envelopes to see what you had put inside, you are okay because you know that, no, this one, I sealed it and nobody knew of it. So on that day, you are there, Kofi is there, Abu and Sons Construction Limited, Pastor Fred and Minister Winifred Construction Limited, whatever Construction Limited, they are all there. So they open the various envelopes and then they realize that Pastor Fred Construction Limited is the one that had the cheapest of all, right? Now, aside that, we will even have to review. There are cases where, I don't want to take you through the whole procurement process, but let's assume that they are all building the same structure, right? With the same quality of materials and all that. At the end of the day, we are going in for Pastor Fred and everyone is okay. Pastor Fred is satisfied. Everyone is okay because everybody has seen that they bidded higher than Pastor Fred. Now, ultimately, as far as the social welfare is concerned, we are able to get Pastor Fred to put up the structure for us at a lower cost, perhaps relatively closer to the market price than that of the ones that the others propose. So we have reduced cost, and we've also had school building. Please, I hope this is clear. That's a very good example. Any other before we continue? Any other? One last one. Debbie.
Prof,
Yes, sir.
example.
Yes. Oh, I said Debbie, but since Abraham, since you've decided to answer for Debbie, please go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't decide that. Let's go back to Debbie, okay? Debbie,
Okay.
come and answer.
Okay, Debbie.
Dog.
Yes, Debbie.
So I'm thinking about it, dog.
Okay, Doc, let me try this one and see.
Okay.
So maybe during our time in the family, the kids are supposed to do some house chores. At the same time, they have to play. So
At the same time, they have to do what?
you have to go out and play.
Play. Okay.
Fun, yeah. So as a parent, you decide that now anyone who comes home maybe right after school and is able to do his or her house chores first, you'll be able to go. So if you are supposed to fetch water, the moment you close from school and you do that, maybe you have 10 minutes for you to go and do whatever that you want.
Okay.
Could that find its way?
Oh, but you have to. I mean, this is your game. This is your design. So you have to tell me what the problem is. You have to tell me the mechanism. And then you tell me, you've already said the mechanism. And then you tell us how you have or how you're able to achieve some incentive alignment in this case. And then the outcome.
Yeah, grow. Okay, so so the problem is the ability of a parent to structure his or her home so that the children will be able to do their choice, their home choice. Now,
No, so the problem here is that the mother wants the house chores to be done, isn't it?
sure,
Whilst the children want to play.
that's true.
That's
So that's
all.
the problem.
Yes. So we want the house chores to be done, and we want it to be done by the children who are not willing to do the house chores, but they are willing to play. So that's the only problem we have.
Okay. So
Uh-huh.
now in this case, the incentive alignment will be the moment you're able to do your house choice, then you'll be allowed to go out and play.
Right. So maybe if you fetch a bucket of water, that is 2 minutes of play. If you fetch 2 buckets, so depending on the number of buckets that you fetch, you get more time to play. So because the woman also wants her barrel to be full, and the children also want more time to play, so the children would be willing to fetch the barrel to the brim so that at the end of the day, they will get more time to play, isn't it?
Sure.
Of course.
And
So
another incentive alignment will be maybe if you don't do your work, that's when you eat from the house. Could that also be?
I can see you're casting your mind back to when you were a kid, eh?
Exactly. That's what I'm doing.
They said if you don't pound the fufu, you
You
won't
know, go
eat.
chop. You know, go chop.
And because you want to eat, you will pound.
Uh-huh. And it becomes fair to everybody. I don't know if it's
Sorry.
I don't know if it can be, it's all sum up to the incentive alignment.
Of course. Of
Uh-huh.
course. So that at the end of the day, however the people will act will help, us to achieve our goal.
And I think there's also a fairness assurance here. If you do,
Right.
you can go out and play.
Right.
And
So
at the end of the day,
you know that once you do it, you are getting it. So if you don't do, you also know that if I don't do it, I don't get it. So if they don't give it to me, then I'm okay. That like I know that it's because I didn't do it. That's why they didn't give it to me.
okay. So at the end of the day, you also get the outcome that the water is being fed, the fufu is being pounded, and that is the social welfare here. And also the kids, they are able to get their time to also play.
To play. Okay. Thank you so much. So, guys, I do hope that with this we appreciate what we are talking about. So,
Madam,
so this is what,
Doc,
yes, sir.
I think another example is the auction.
The auction, right? It's a perfect example. In actual fact, we are driving towards the auction.
Oh,
What we
okay.
are even doing is driving towards the auction.
Okay.
Right.
Dog,
Yes, sir.
please, can I also ask, considering the lottery system we have, the
Mm-hmm.
NLA, the one they will show it on TV, then they'll roll the balls, and
Yes, sir.
then can we consider that as I mean the game, the mechanism design?
Yes, you see, every every system, every structure is we've designed it. Even in your home. That's why I said, even in your home, right? You have some sort of mechanism design, right? But perhaps you are not seeing it like that. But that is how it is. So in your home, it's an institution. Okay. At the end of the day, we want a clean house. At the end of the day, we want food on the table. At the end of the day, we want income, right? Which is why in your home, people are going to work, coming back. People are making sure that by 5 o'clock there is food on the table. People are making sure that they are also going to school so that in future, either they have a bright future or they don't bring disgrace to their family. You understand? It's a mechanism. It's a design. So if my role is that I put food on the table, I do this, and I need somebody to also do this, so that at the end of the day we have a peaceful home, and that person is not doing it. I'm paying school fees so that you would get somewhere. We would have, good reputation as a family. That's why if we are moving forward, our parents are happy and all that. So if she pays the fees and you are not learning, then you say that if you get F this term, I won't pay your fees again. Or if you get F, I won't do this for you. If you get this, all these things are systems that you are putting in place to make sure that you achieve certain things. So even the home, it's an everything, it's a design. All right? Everything, it's a design. So you can caption it as such. So even if you are thinking of NLA, you are thinking far, you are thinking too much. Even the school, GCTU, right? At the end of the day, the institution will need money to run the place. Of course, at the end of the day, they also would want some, you know, alumni that uh, are in places that people can look up to and say, oh, this person went to GCTU and all that. And so GCTU will try as much as possible to train the students so that at the end of the day they get somewhere. But they also need the funds to run the place. In as much as they want to do that, they also want you, and you also want the education, right? So you also want certificate, maybe simply because you want the certificate for your promotion, you want the certificate for whatever you want. So it's a whole, at the end of the day, everybody should be happy. At the end of the day, we all need, you know, so even all these things that we are doing at the end of the day, recording the class and all that, so that people can go back to it and then read to understand, they will pass. And then so that they don't go and tell other people that, oh, over here they won't even pass you. Why do you come? Because they also need the students. E- Everything. You can think of anything. You would see that structure there. Everything. You see that structure there. And that's why when we're talking about the game theory, I was giving you a series of things that we do on a daily basis that aligns with the games that we have looked at. And I was trying to use uh, Grace and Enoch when we were looking at the battle of the sexes, right? Even the yourself and then your various lecturers, okay, scheduling time to meet, uh, arranging for classwork and what do you call it? Classwork, class assessment, and all that. They are all, mechanism. At the end of the day, all these things are being done so that you learn, right? All these things are being done so that you would learn. And you also would want to do all these things so that you get your marks and at the end of the day, get your certificate and go. And that is why we'll be going back and forth on so many things. So everything, you can think of anything and everything. That's why I was asking for examples from the home, from the office, even in your office space. I think I even gave that example earlier. And I said that your people want the work to be done, right? They want the work to be done. That is why they would say that if you work hard, especially those who tie the number of hours or maybe some level of output to those who are receiving commission, right? People like GRA and all that. If at the end of the day, the company gets higher revenue, you get higher bonuses. There are certain institutions, if they get profits at the end of the year, they give their staff, bonuses. And so you know that if I work hard and I get a lot of, and we increase productivity, at the end of the day, we are going to increase our bonus. So this is what we'll do. Work, the time sheets that we sign, all those things, they are mechanism designed that we have, the school system, everything, you can think of everything, anything. If you try to draw the path well, looking at the private information, looking at the structure, you would see where we have maybe some level of incentive alignment. And then we have, there are cases where we don't have incentive alignment. It means that the mechanism wasn't well designed, right? And then you would see that at the end of the day, we also have the outcome. So basically, this is a structure that I put there. I was trying to develop this for you using your name. So sorry if we don't have Paddy and Samuel in the class, but this is a game where we have two people, Paddy and Samuel. And at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here is that you have your preference and I have mine. Okay. So think of, let's say, let's say, a party. So Paddy and Samuel are organizing a party, and we are looking at the drinks that we want to serve in the party. Okay. So Paddy's first preference. So Paddy has her preferences. Samuel is not aware of it. Now Paddy has her preferences. Samuel also has his preferences. Now Paddy's first preference is Coke. Second preference is Sobolo, and the third is Pepsi. Samuel's first preference is Coke, the second is Sobolo, and then Pepsi. Now, each of these, as I mentioned, people don't disclose their preferences to each other. So these agents are not telling each other what it is that they prefer. Now, if at the end of the day, the game, right? So this will be their private information. So if at the end of the day, the game, the design or the structure that you put up yields Coke as the outcome, then we say that this particular design is efficient. I hope you understand. So we say that it is efficient when at the end of the day, this is Paddy's preference, this is Samuel's preference, but Coke was chosen in this case, which means that that is what we all preferred initially anyways. So at the end of the day, we say that it is efficient. Now, in a case where the design was structured such that Sobolo was, Sobolo was their preferences, but Coke was chosen at the end of the day, then we did not achieve efficiency. Please, I hope this is clear.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. So basically, this is what we consider at the end of the day, the mechanism that we structure or the design that the mechanism design that we put up should yield an efficient outcome. Okay. If we don't have any question, let me proceed. Okay. So we are saying that in mechanism design, yes, please. Oh, I thought somebody was talking.
No,
Okay.
Doc, no, nobody was talking.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm basically saying is that in a general case, if we are looking at mechanism design, these are the assumptions, okay? First of all, we have some number of agents. Now, these agents, the number of agents could be 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Then we have an assumption that the agents are rational, okay? And I'm sure you've heard of issues of rationality over and over. Even aside this course, I'm sure you might have heard it in your micro and then your macro and all that. So especially micro. So I believe you understand when we say that the agents are rational. And then the next, we are saying that they are intelligent, obviously. So they are rational, they are intelligent. Please excuse me. Okay. So guys, sorry about that. So I was saying that we have some number of agents. We have it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to whatever number that there is. And we are saying that these agents are rational. we are saying that they are intelligent, and then we are saying that they interact strategically, okay? Then the next point is that we have some set of outcomes or decisions, okay, for these particular agents. So every agent has some set of every game has some set of outcomes. Now, these outcomes are based on the decisions or the actions of the agents. Then we are also saying that each agent has his or her own preference. At the end of the day, these preferences are private to the agents, okay? So they would not tell you what they really, really prefer. They will not tell you what they are thinking at the end of the day. They wouldn't tell you specifically what they hope for in the results, but then they have it. Now, this agent's preference is also coming from the set of private values of the agent. And if we are looking at a set of private values, it's like, let me say that if I get this, it's better. But if I don't get it, I would prefer this better than that, right? So let me use the case of somebody who is selecting a school, okay? So you finish writing your BEC and you are selecting a school. So you have your preferences, right? And then, but you have your first choice, you have your second choice, you have your third choice, and so on and so forth. So this is the set of private values of the agent, right? And then at each point in time, there is one out of the lot that you prefer most. Okay. So we are saying that assuming we are representing theta by the set of all types of the profile. Now, we would have that in a typical profile, we would have that the utility that an individual have, right, will be in a set of a real numbers, right? It will be coming from a set of a real numbers, and it will be such that every agent will select an action out of the set of private values that they have. So let me go back to the example that I gave. So you have the various schools that you prefer, okay? Now, at the end of the day, you would have, at this time, I don't think you would expect me to explain what utility is, okay? So your satisfaction. So your satisfaction, which we were initially looking at with regards to payoff, okay, will be coming from these private preferences that you already have, okay? So we are saying that the payoff that any agent receives should be a function of the person's preference or of the person's private values. Please, I don't know if I have explained these verbally, but these are what I have written on this slide. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Let me
Excuse
go
me,
back.
Prof.
Yes, please.
Please, can you go back? No, go forward. The NE after theta equal to 1 dot 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 theta n to bracket. The NE, what is it? Is it the satisfaction you are talking about?
NE.
Or it's not E?
No, it's not E.
It's what?
I think it's
So
empty.
this,
No, not that one. I'm talking about, let's say, last but 4. The one that you've taken, the one that you've marked, you
Yes,
take.
it's empty.
Okay,
Or
empty. Oh, okay.
this one,
Yeah.
no, it's
oh,
not
it's not
NO.
N, it's U.
It's you.
That's the utility, UT.
Oh, okay.
So guys, I'll put this, I'll use the right notations. In actual fact, what I've been doing over the period is that I've been saying it and, be writing. Okay, but as I said, my pen disturbed me today. So I'm going to type this out and then send it to you.
Doc,
Okay, so that
good evening.
you have the notations. So
Doc,
this side is the utility, right?
Doc, if you could go over this. No, I mean the next, yeah. Yeah, here. This.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I was trying to go over this using the example I gave. So let me go back here and then use the same, sorry. And then use the same example. Okay. So what I'm saying here is that at the end of the day, we have the agents, right? These agents are rational, they are intelligent. Then we have the set of alternatives or the outcomes. So at the end of the day, we would have some outcomes from the game, right? Or a decision. It could be an outcome, it could be a decision that we all agreed on. Then we are saying that each agent, right, has his or her own preference. Okay, each agent has its or her own preference, which is a private value. Okay, so the agent knows what she really wants. Okay, which is what I have represented by this small theta. And I'm saying that this small theta is coming from a set of theta that has got to do with the individual private values. So the person has lots of, preferences in this case, but at every point in time, the person has one that the person really prefers. So think of the games that we have looked at. There were several strategies, isn't it? There were several strategies that a person had. But at every point in time, the person played a particular game or had one action, and that action was from a set of strategies that they have. So when we're playing Esther and Enoch, and we're playing the football and um, movies, you would realize that they have a set of strategy, and the set of strategy was football and movie. So that is the full set. But one had, out of that strategy, they have one that they really prefer. So it's similar to what I'm talking about here. So you have set of preferences or private values, right? Each of these have its own value. At the end of the day, you select from the set that you have. So you have this set and then you select from this. Now, this is the outcome. And then I'm saying that, so this big theta here, which is the same as the one that was before prior to this, gives us the set of all types of profile, all types of preferences that a person has, right? So at the end of the day, we do have that's for 1, that's for 2, that's for 3, that's for 4, and so on and so forth. So we have, if there are 2 players, we would have the set of private values for the first player, the set of private values for the second player, the set of private values for the third player, and so on and so forth, up to the nth player. Okay, so a typical profile, right? That is a profile of one person looks like this one. Okay, so you have your first preference, your second preference, your third preference, and so on and so forth. I hope you get it. Okay, and then we are saying that the utility would be the outcome times your preference. Okay, and this should stem from, or it should be real numbers. So at the end of the day, whatever value that you have should be a set of real numbers. Now, given that the outcome of one is also from, so this one belongs to a set of, outcomes of possible decisions. So several decisions could have been made. I would use vivid examples to explain these things. So I'll come back to these notations, but I'll use vivid examples to explain them. And then we are also saying that the preference also belongs to your set of preference, or let's say your profile. Then I'm saying that at the end of the day, your utility, which is this, so it's not the n, I'm just using the mu sign, right? Like you. So we are saying that your utility is a function of the outcome and your preference. Okay? And that is the payoff that an individual receives at the end of the day. So almost all the games that we've been looking at, this represents what we've been doing. But these are notations. Please, any question before I move on to the next? Yes, Charles. Okay. So let's look at the final bit of what we are saying. Then I give you an example. So we are saying that at the end of the day, whatever decision that we make, right, the outcome is efficient if the outcome is efficient if the sum of the utility of each of the players of the game is greater than or equal to the sum of the alternative. So in this case, we are looking at the action times the preferences that they have, which in this case refers to the utility that they have. So at the end of the day, whatever utility that they get should be greater or equal to any other alternative. So if you think of the games that we played in class, you would realize that we were looking at issues of two strategies, which of them is dominant. You get it. There are cases where even in the whole system, we had a dominant strategy and all that. At the end of the day, you are looking at a case where what we conclude on is greater than any other alternative in the system. Guys, do you understand? Debbie, do you understand? Jennifer?
Yes,
Esther? Yes, Jennifer, do you understand?
a bit. So I'll read over and then.
Okay. Esther,
Take this part again.
the last part, this particular part or the previous slide before this one? Okay. So I'm assuming, let me go back and then come back to this slide again. Where Where is it? Where is it? Oh, sorry. Okay. So we are saying that we have that the utility of an agent, right? Or the payoff that the person receives at the end of the day is a function of the person's outcome, okay, based on the strategy that the person played. Sorry, the outcome as far as the entire game is concerned, based on the strategy that the action that the person took, and then the action the other people took, and his own, preference. So at the end of the day, whatever function that there is should be such that it was influenced by the person's preference and also the decision at the end of the day. So that is the payoff, that's the utility. So it's a function of the outcome and the person's preference, which obviously is a private information. So at the end of the day, what we are saying that this particular payoff, okay, so you'd realize that this is the same as the last function that I showed you. So it's basically a function, right? You can, I mean, any other function can represent this depending on the type of game. So this is in a general case. So in a general case, we are saying that the sum of the various utilities, okay, of the individuals who maybe play the game or the agents in the system should be greater or equal to any other alternative there is. So at the end of the day, if we concluded on this, we all should be satisfied with this result, like the combination of our payoffs or our level of satisfaction should be greater than if we had picked this alternative. Okay. So let me use a classic. Jennifer, are you okay?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, so let me use a classic example, and I was trying to use this example initially. And I was saying that I'm using voting, right, for this example. So we all went to the polls, right? So the individuals in this game or the agents in this game is uh, the number of the voters. Okay, so people who are eligible to vote in the country, who actually registered and who are above 18. So these are the individuals as far as this game is concerned. Now, what is the mechanism? Right? We have several mechanisms in this case. Who is designing this? Let's say this is based on the Constitution being designed by based on the Constitution, but being implemented by the Electoral Commission, right? So that is the design. Now, more specifically, we have that you have to be 18 and above in order to vote. I mean, the mechanism, it's a lot of things involved as far as the game is concerned. So it's such that you have to be 18 before you vote. We have one voter, one vote. When you are going to vote, you don't have to show your paper to anybody. So you vote confidentially in a booth and then go and put it in a, or where are the polling agents? Help me with some of the mechanisms. All these things have been designed to create some level of fairness and assurance, right? To make the people satisfied that at the end of the day, it was free and then fair. Now the decision is such that we will have only one person winning, right? Now, we can have, it's a set, right? Now, in this set, all the people on the ballot paper are eligible to win once the voters vote for you. So these are what we call the possible outcomes, right? So the possible outcomes are either NDC wins, or MPP wins, or CPP wins, or PFP wins, or whichever, right? And then we have several voters. So I picked one vote. So in place of Desmond, let me use Jennifer. So Jennifer prefers that GFP wins, right? That is her first, preference. Now, out she has a set, right? So to her, it's either GFP win, or the GFP win, CPP win, right? And or either PFP win. So she has this set. So she has values. So she's like, pass MPP or NDC would win. Right? So these two parties are not in her preference list. But there's a private information. So deep within her, she would want GFP to win. Right? So given this, we have her preference, right? Which is a set. Okay. We have she has a specific preference, which is from a set of preferences, and we call that the set of private values, well, private information, whatever it is. And then the mechanism, I think I was trying to explain some, but you guys know. So we have the 50 plus one, we have the one voter, one vote, we have times for how do you call it? Times for campaigning. We have, all those things. At the end of the day, everybody should be there to count. If you remember, we at some point in this country, we have the pink sheet issues, right? So where people feel that others were not transparent, then there will be problems. So they have designed the system such that now everybody should be there for us to count, which is why after voting, we all gather back at the polling station and then they raise this thing one after the other. This is for PFP, this is for CPP, this is for NDC, this is for that. Now, at the end of the day, in I think 2024, hey, why am I talking as if it's been long? So 2024 NDC won, right? Now we are saying that this outcome, which is part of a set of outcomes, because the set of outcomes that we had was that either NDC wins, MPP wins, CPP wins, Ekweadonko party win, whichever party that represented that were represented on the ballot paper wins. So those were the outcomes that we were looking at, right? And then one out of the various outcomes, possible outcomes, one outcome was revealed. Okay. So that was what we achieved. So we are saying that this outcome is sufficient if when we put everybody's level of satisfaction together, it is, sorry. If when we put everybody's level of satisfaction together, the value we have is greater or equal to the satisfaction, of everybody if we had picked an alternative outcome. Okay? So, everybody was happy. We wouldn't be happy equally, right? But everybody was, let me stop using happy, satisfied, because at the end of the day, that was the outcome that we had. Now, when we put these satisfaction together, when we add that level of satisfaction together, it should be equal. So it should be equal or greater than if we had chosen any other alternative. So assuming, let's say GFP had won, right? And we realized that most Ghanaians had preferred maybe some other alternative. You realize that when you add them together, when you add most Ghanaian satisfaction together, people will not be happy. And so we wouldn't have an efficient outcome at the end of the day. So we only achieved an efficient, and whenever we don't have an efficient outcome as far as voting is concerned, we see chaos in the country. Guys, I do hope you understand this as far as the examples and explanations I've given is concerned. Any question? Any question? Or some of you feel that we started nicely, eh? We started nicely. We're cutting cake. Then all of a sudden, we are doing Sigma and Theta.
Serious, oh, madam. Very serious.
Mustafa, I agree with you. We started nicely. We were cutting cake, we were excited. We're
I
talking
knew it
about
was coming.
Anthony. And we're cutting cake and we're sharing icing and the cherry on top of the cake and all that. Then all of a sudden, we've brought Tita. But guys, I mean, this is nothing for you to, panic about. I think that the logic here is clear, okay? If you look at these various notations and the explanations I've given, it should be clear. All right. Any question before I proceed? Any question? Evans. Evans, are you still with your British guys?
Yes,
Evans
dog,
is-
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Okay. I thought you had left me to go and see your British guy. So I
No,
was going to
no.
say that Evans is babysitting today, so he's not with me. All right. So no question, right? If you don't have any question, let me proceed. So let's look at the types of mechanism. We are saying that we have two types of mechanisms. We have the first, which is the direct mechanism, and we have what we call the indirect mechanism. So as far as the direct mechanism is concerned, we are saying that participants report their private information, right? So So, being it preferences, being it the types that they want, they report it to the designer. Okay, so they tell the designer what they want. Okay, so an example would be the mechanism design the mechanism then assigns outcomes based on these reports. So an example is what we see in the first price auction. I don't know if any of you know about the first price auction. As for this one, guys, let me come into those of you who are car dealers and the rest. This one, auction. As for auction, the men are, they are on top. So educate us. First price auction.
And look,
Yes, sir.
and so basically, it's also a type of auction, right?
Okay.
Where um those who have agreed to participate in will submit their prices or the various amount they wish to pay for the particular item, or if it's a car, the car they want to. So they all
Okay.
submit their bids. They all submit their bid, which is normally anonymized because you don't have to know what somebody is also submitting. And then later on, the bids they have submitted, a scholar or somebody who have access or have collated or will show it on the scoreboard, like they will list it in terms of the highest to the lowest, and then the one who has paid higher will be the one who has won and will be made to pay for the item, and then they get to receive it, or they become the winner for the item of the bid.
Right. Okay. So, thank you so much. I think this is one that in most cases it's one of the common types of auction that we know. Okay, so you would have people mentioning their preferences. Okay, so people would mention their preferences, and at the end of the day, whoever has the highest bid pays, and the person will pay his bid, right? So if, for example, oh, I should have used a classic example. So, okay. So let me use a classic example. I have uh I have what would you guys like? No, I wouldn't know. Okay, so assuming I have a phone, right? I think I had the latest is this Samsung phone is G26 or something, and it's not really out, so maybe they are testing the market. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not IT person like that, but I'm trying to sell this, right? So at the end of the day, I ask each of you to send me mention your prices. How much would you want to pay for that particular item? So we'll have people mentioning the prices. So um assuming Eric one mentions 1,000 Ghana cedis, assuming Charles mentions 500 Ghana cedis, assuming is Grace on this call? Grace. Grace.
Yeah.
She's not here.
Yes,
Assuming,
madam.
hey,
She's here.
madam, I've not heard from you
Yes,
today. How much will you pay for the food?
yes. The new one. Come on.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, maybe 15,000.
15. Wow. So obviously Grace wins. I won't even ask the others how much they want to pay for it. So Grace is paying 15,000. Eric, 1,000 Ghana cedis. Charles, what were you thinking? Were you thinking it was second hand, or what were you thinking? Were you thinking it was yam? So Charles is paying 500. So since Grace is paying 15,000, Grace takes the phone and pays the 15,000. So this is an example of the first price auction. Guys, I'm taking my time to explain this because we are going to look at auctions the next time. We'll look at other aspects of the mechanism design and look at the auctions, but what you would realize is that we will look at various aspects of these and optimal outcomes as far as um, um, the various auctions are concerned. So we look at the second one, which is also another example. We have the second price auction, right? Now, the second price auction, which is the victory auctions, is the type where each bidder will submit the bid, right? So Grace says 15,000, Eric said 1,000, Charles said 500, right? However, the person who bidded the highest wins, but pays the second highest bid. Okay, so in this case, Grace is going to pay 1,000 for the phone instead of the 15,000 that she mentioned. So because Grace is paying the 1,000 instead of the 15,000, we call that the second price auction. She's the one who mentioned the highest, which is 15,000, but we make her pay the second highest bid. And then we have what we call the all pay auction. So all bidders pay their bids and the highest bidder receives the item. I think the Methodist and the Presby, maybe these days, and you people, you are Abrofo, maybe your churches, you are too Abrofo. You should go to the local churches and go and see what has been happening. So in the local churches, a classic example, maybe those of you who have been in that system will be able to. We raise the plantain when we have church harvest, right? We raise up the plantain and then it said body echo, right? Be like plantain. So I would say what? 1 cedi, right? Then I pay. Then another person would say, then they pay. Then the other person. So each one would mention the bid and pay, right? But the highest bidder would receive the item. So that is the all pay auction. So I mean, these are not the only types of auction, but because we are not doing auctions, I wouldn't spend much time here, just explaining it well so that when we get there, you would have an idea. But these types are what we call the direct examples of the direct mechanism. Any question? So when we talk about the indirect ones, we are looking at the ones that do not directly get the information, the preferences from the people. Okay, so unlike the first one, the direct one, that's required that the people mention what they prefer. The indirect one is such that they are not directly mentioning what they prefer. So if you look at the various mechanisms that we have looked at, right, even right from the very first one, which is the that of the cake and the Solomon bit, you would realize that these ones are the indirect mechanism in the sense that they do not take the information directly from the individual. Any question at this stage? My people, any question? Or we are okay?
Prof. Yeah, Prof. Hello.
You like calling me prof, or you want me to be a professor soon?
And then
yes.
kindly please.
Yes.
Under the direct mechanism. So,
yes.
So in this case, the read agent will tell you our preferences. Now, assuming we consider our class currently, we tell you the kind of preference, what we want. We tell you that maybe we all want to pass your course. We've informed you. Then once you've been able to design the mechanism for us to pass based on our preference, then you come and bid it to us. Is that so?
You are confusing me. Oh. So once you said once
So direct mechanism. The question is
mhm.
now the agents report their private info so
Yes.
that the designers will be able to design whatever that they want. Then at the end, they will get it.
Okay. So at the end of the day, as far as the let me use the auction again as an example, right? Let me go back to this one. So what is the motive here? What is the outcome that we want to achieve here, right? The outcome that we want to achieve is that we want value for the item that we are bringing out there. So we want good money for it, okay? We want good money for it. So we can design it in several ways. One could be where we get the preferences from the people in the process. And at the end of the day, we are able to get good money for what we have. Okay. So basically, with the direct mechanism, what is happening is that the mechanism has been designed such that the people will have to tell the designer their preferences. Okay. But at the end of the day, whatever outcome that we get will be such that we are able to have an outcome that we desire. I hope you understand. So in this particular game, in as much as people are telling us their preferences, we are able to still get the outcome that we have simply because once they are mentioning it, at the end of the day, the highest one wins. Now, in the second price auction as well, in fact, you see, if you are looking at rational agents, there are various twists and turns to these ones. And when we are looking at the auction very well, you see them. You will see that even the second price auction, right? If I know the design of the game, right, and I am willing to pay 10,000 for the item, right? At the end of the day, we will be able to achieve an outcome that will still give us the highest amount that we desire. And I'll show you why, based on the issues of rationality and preferences as far as intelligent agents and rational agents are concerned. But I mean, as we have discussed, yes, you would get the preferences from the people, and based on those references, you are able to get the outcome, the desired outcome of the game. Whilst the indirect one, they don't tell you, right? It is such that you are not getting the information from their preferences from them. But you've designed it such that what they do will bring out their preferences, which would, at the end of the day, or should be aligned with the social welfare or the outcome that we all desire.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. So if we choose our class with you currently as a game,
Okay.
And we've informed you that our preference is that all of us want to pass. Nobody
Is
wants
it
to
a collective? Is it a collective preference?
It's a collective preference.
Madam,
Why is
yes,
it everybody wants to pass? Yes, but somebody wants an A. Somebody wants G-code D because the person cannot cannot learn. So the person wants maybe be like, even if I get B cry, I'm okay, right?
So
Even if I want,
all
far
that
you
is
pass,
being
oh.
constant.
And I want to pass.
All that is being constant. We want to
uh-huh,
pass.
I'm
So,
listening. Yes.
so in this case, you as
Mm-hmm.
a designer, that now you have such information,
Mm-hmm.
and now it is up to you to design it in a way that even at the end of the day, you get your social welfare, and we too, our preference will be met. And
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I also want
it's,
you to learn.
it's a true story.
I know what you are talking about. At the end of the day, I also want you to learn, right? And so imagine that I tell you that, oh, so the exams, if you would really pass the exams, you should have attended all the lectures, right? You should have attended all the lectures and I'm marking attendance. Won't you come? Because you also want to pass, you will come, isn't it? But in as much as I want you to come, it is because I want you to come and learn. So you will join anyways. Then two, I'm like, if you answer questions in my class, that will give you a +2. If I hear your voice, that's a +2. So assuming I say if I hear your voice, that's a +2, you would make sure that I hear your voice. But would you open your mouth and say something irrelevant? You would obviously follow what I'm doing so that you can contribute. It's also a way of making you learn, right? So I'm achieving mine, and you're also halfway meeting yours. So we are meeting each other. Then I tell you that various assignments with presentation. Now, when you are coming to present, you have to say that I'll ask you questions. You go and do the assignment and come. And you have to come and present because you know it's part of the assessment.
but about your part, they said there's no fairness assurance.
There's what?
There's no fairness assurance.
It's
in your
Master,
model.
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's perfect fairness assurance. It's perfect. Because you know that once you learn, I want you to learn, you want to pass. So we are meeting each other halfway, right? So once you learn, and I know once you learn, you will pass, right? Unless you don't learn. So once you do all the things that at the end of the day, you're okay. But if you don't do them and you don't pass, then you know that, this one I didn't pass. So Charlie, Nina, I couldn't get time. Or the time we're in class talking about these things. That day I was in a funeral, eh? I was, I was enjoying this, so I was here. I was that. I was even in a car, right? So, I mean, Abraham, what a perfect example. Yes, Charles, do you have a question?
No, doctor.
Sorry?
No, please, I don't have any question.
Oh, you don't have any question. Okay. So guys, any other? I don't know if I should introduce the next one or it's almost 5 and we've not even had a break. Any question? Or you are okay?
Doc,
Yes, sir.
it looks as though even though the direct auction is what would help the designer attain maximum outlook for why they design the particular or the said mechanism. Indirect auction is more popular compared to the direct one. Like my
You
own
see,
view.
you see, I also have my own reservations as far as some of these things are concerned. But at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, if you look at rational people and the rational behavior, we are likely, we are likely to always act in a way that would interest us. Now, even with the direct, right? With the direct, assuming we give everybody an opportunity to mention the price, right? Unless you make it, the designer makes it a one-time bid. Note, a one-time bid. For a one-time bid, that's why I'm saying that this mechanism design, you really need to think through it well if you are designing anything to make sure that you are not being played. So if it's a one-time bid, the person knows that he has only one chance to this game. Now, imagine, and let me use the church as an example again. I don't know if, are you familiar with the church harvesting?
Yes, yeah, I call it a cheat auction.
Right. So you would realize that people are supposed to mention their preference, right? Somebody would say 5,000, but if I say 5,500, the person will say 600, which means that deep within, the person can pay higher than what he or she has mentioned. And people go there with strategies. In auctions, it's always a strategy. And so sometimes they keep going and going and going till nobody speaks, and then you take the item, right? Assuming it is a one-time bidding, right? Now, people will strategically play this, but there are cases where you would have somebody playing a bit lower than what the person really, really would have wanted to pay for that particular item, right? The issue is this. If I didn't really want to go into the auction bit, but when you look at the various types, you realize that we have the optimal decisions for each of the games. Some of the games, it is good to bid your own preference, your own highest preference. There are others, you don't have to bid your own highest preference, depending on the kind of game that you are looking at. Okay? But you realize that if the game is well structured, such that the designer of the game has taken into consideration that we have rational agents, we have this, we have that, you realize that in each case, bidding your optimal is the best, simply because if you don't do that, you might regret it at the end of the day. So before we can get, I don't want to call it an equilibrium, but before we can get a situation where individuals are really satisfied with the outcome of a particular auction, then they had bidded what they truly believed they would have wanted the item for. So if you don't bid your own price, then assuming the design, everything is accurate. So this time around, we are putting all the various assumptions together. So if you put all the various assumptions together, you would say that for each type of the game, you would realize that if you bid your preference, it would be better for you. So that even if you don't win, right? Even if you don't win, that is, if you don't get the item, you know that that is how much you value the item. Nothing more, nothing less. I hope you understand what I mean.
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Okay. Please, any question? If we are okay, I don't know if I didn't want to. Please, when are we ending? I've been asking this question almost every time, eh? I just want to keep the pace because I heard you have a revision week. You have a revision week as well. Evans. Evans, the kid is watching for you so that if I say Evans, then the kid will say, ah, she said Evans, so come and listen. Hey, Evans.
Madam,
Evans, are you there?
yes, please.
Okay. So how many meetings are we left with?
This week, 21st,
Sorry?
21st and 28th.
21st. So we have 2 more, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if that is the case and you don't have any question,
Doctor, please, I have a question. I want to
please
find
go ahead.
for the second prize auction that you
Yes.
is there any example I can have? Because I'm still trying to think around it where it's really practiced. I've never heard of it. This is my first time, but then I just want a practical example where
Okay. So Priscilla, let's play this game with you and what do you prefer? What do you want? If we are doing auction, what item are you looking at? Just give me any item for an example.
a car.
A what?
Car.
Car. Okay. So well, my preferred is a Lexus. I don't know. They have this big Lexus. I don't know. The men can help me with the brand. It's very big.
It's
So
LX600.
LX600. Okay, so we are bidding for LX600, right? And so Priscilla, I'll explain this the next time we meet. I'll explain it properly using the slides. But since you've asked this question, I'm just doing so please follow it. I don't know, like follow the numbers as well, okay? So Priscilla, you are the first bidder. Now this is a one-time bid, right? So you would put your preference, that is the amount you want to pay for the car. Please put it in the chat for me. Put it in the chat. Priscilla, put it in the chat. So Priscilla is bidding this with who am I seeing? Eric Odro Mensah. Eric Odro Mensah and let me see. Am I seeing any other name? I just want 5 people. So you put your prices in the chat for me. So Priscilla, you put your price in the chat. Eric, put your price in the chat. Alhassan. Alhassan, please put your price in the chat. Unfortunately, unfortunately, everyone is seeing yours, so Priscilla. But I mean, it's okay. Who else? Debbie. Debbie, you don't want a LX600 or what is 600? You love the cow.
Oh, okay. Okay, madam, I'll take it.
So you put your price in the chat.
Okay.
So I just need about 5 people to put their prices in the chat. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Peter. Oh, somebody even said, hey, Peter.
I think it's my favorite. So who knows? Real.
Somebody said, "Hey, Peter." Okay, so guys, forgive me. Enoch, forgive me. You would have won in this case, but I'm sorry. We are looking at cities. Okay, so Savior is 350,000. Debbie is 550,000. Um, who else? Um, Peter. Hey, what that one? What amount is this? 1.2 whatever K. Masa, Anthony. Many them. What amount is that?
1,200,000. 12 billion OCD.
Okay, so okay, so
What do you want to?
okay, so we can close the bid now, right? So we can close the bid now. So nobody is bidding again. So we've closed the bid. Now, Anthony, yours is an outlier. In fact, the amount you are mentioning, we've realized that it's a bragging price. So we've canceled your name from
That's the true price. Oh.
you've been blacklisted.
Let's just discuss Leo.
The true price.
We know, but we know, but this one day you've been blacklisted. Okay. Okay, so we have this. Okay, I mean, let's not blacklist him. And but anyway, expand your amount for us. I mean, mention your amount for us. What is that?
That's
120
1,200,000.
billion.
And
Hey,
that,
120
that is
million.
12
What?
billion OCDs.
12 billion.
OCDs, yes. 1,200,000.
Okay. So if that is the case, then it means Anthony is the winner, right? So 12
Hey,
billion.
Oh, no.
Who is the winner?
David Brown, 2.1 million.
Yeah, David Brown. If not
2
Peter,
point
it's
what?
David Brown.
2.1 million.
Okay,
Where
which
is
currency? Is it
Ghana
silver
cities.
or
Ghana cities.
Ghana
Ghana
cities?
cities.
Ghana cities.
it's silver?
Okay. So now since Priscilla is the one who asked the question, Priscilla, now look through this and tell me who the winner is. Which is the highest amount?
Madam, please, it's Anthony.
Anthony. Okay. Which is the second highest?
David.
David.
Yes.
Priscilla,
Yes.
are you saying 2.1 million is less than 1.2 million?
I can see 2 million K. And
So he didn't write it well. It's 1.2 million. He didn't write it.
1.2 billion.
So 1.2 million, right?
Yes.
Okay. So after Anthony's is 1.2 million.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
If that is the case, then Brown is the highest, followed.
Okay.
Followed by Peter.
Followed by Peter.
Okay. So at the end of the day, you said followed by Peter.
Yeah.
Brown gave 2.1 million CDs, and Peter gave 2 million CDs.
Okay, so we've cancelled Anthony, right?
Yes, please.
So David is the winner.
Yeah.
Brown. Yeah, David Brown is the winner.
Okay. So Anthony, I wanted to say something for you, but unfortunately, the game didn't favor you.
Don't worry.
So David is the winner, right? Now David bidded 2.1 million, right?
Yes.
So in the first price auction, David will pay 2.1 million, right? In the second price auction, David is paying only 2 million. That is the amount that Peter bidded. So in the first price auction, David will pay 2.1 million for the Lexus. Now, in the second price, David would pay for 2 million for the Lexus. Do you understand it now? Priscilla?
Yes, doctor.
Do you understand it now? No. So look at this. David bidded 2.1 million, right?
Yes, please.
We all agree that 2.1 million was the highest.
Yes, please.
Now the 2.1 million is the highest. After that, the second highest is what? 2 million, right?
Yes, please.
So in the first price auction, the highest bidder, which is David, went home with the Lexus and paid for it at 2.1 million. The same amount that he said he was going to buy the Lexus for. That's the same amount he paid.
Yes.
Now in the second price auction, although David bid at 2.1 million, he will pay amount less than that. He would rather pay the amount that the person, the second person bidded. So some sort of discount for him. Do you get it?
Yes, yes, yes.
So you can treat it as like a discount, incentive, whatever it is. So though I bidded 2.1, David bidded 2.1 million, he's paying 2 million for the car. Do you see the difference?
Yes, please.
Okay. So
But
I think that is.
But doctor, my concern is why would those organizing the designers want to go with the second price auction? In what instances would they pick one over the first price auction?
Hey, Priscilla really wants us to.
Priscilla,
Yes.
this is, I think it is normally done in this website online digital things.
Exactly.
Yes, that
Priscilla,
is when I
Priscilla
think
wants us to go deeper
it's
into
more of a
auction.
motivation thing that they used. It's a strategy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Priscilla, a clear example, like mostly this car auctioning sites, right? They are price drivers and they're designed normally because it's indirect. The main people who are organized it know that there are some people who are price drivers. Right? People just mention outrageous price. We can see clearly from even our own one we just did that some people were quoting very, very huge figures, right?
But you
And
guys know
so
that where there are price drivers, it means that we don't have some level of efficiency.
yes.
Yeah.
So once you have to see it and then know the actual range. That's why they set it at the second level highest, so that the actual one the actual person who want to pay and not just somebody who is mentioning outrageous price can be able to buy it. Normally those who even mention the very high price, which is the highest of all, they are not willing to pay. They won't even want to buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are just like people who are pushing prices up of the limit. And so the second person is actually the one who wants to buy it. And they peg the price at that end.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much. So, but please again, let me make this clear that where we have those people in the system, we are not promoting efficiency. Yeah, they are just playing with people's mind because they know that the people are rational and this is how they are going to behave. So they are also more or less cheating the system, making people do what they don't want to do. Okay, so I think we would end it here.
Hello, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yes. We only have one meeting. 28th is revision week.
28th is the revision week.
Yes.
So we only have one meeting left.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, I mean, if you don't mind, if after meeting next week, maybe the 28th, I can still come around and I mean, it will depend. And maybe see if we can solve a couple of questions or okay, thank you. Okay, so we have the revision week and then we have the so the revision week we can meet briefly and maybe either solve some questions or address your problem. Since it's revision week, maybe we can meet for 1 hour or something.
Okay,
It will
that's
depend
fine.
actually.
Doc, solve questions.
Hey, Enoch.
Exactly.
Okay, so so if we don't have any questions, but with the phrase that we should solve questions, then we'll ask Pastor Fred to share a prayer with us, and then we end the class. Pastor Fred, since is Pastor Fred here?
Nonsense.
You see, some people, whilst we are praying, they are talking.
Hello.
Yes,
All
Pastor
right.
Fred.
All right. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you this afternoon. We thank you for the wisdom. We thank you for all the things that we have been able to understand here today. Lord, your word says in James 1:5, it says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally without reproach, and it will be given to him. Lord, we claim this promise. And we ask that the knowledge that we have received today will not remain in our minds only, but be firmly rooted in our hearts and transform into practical actions in our lives in Jesus' name. Lord, we pray that you protect our minds from distraction, protect our hearts from doubt, and protect our spirit from discouragement. Lord, may the seeds of understanding planted today grow and shape us in the name of Jesus. We also bring before you our lecturer. We pray that, Lord, you continue to grant her clarity, continue to grant her patience and insight to illuminate the minds of others in Jesus' name. Oh, Lord, we also pray, as you promised us in Psalm 34:19, you say that we will go through many troubles and many pains and many hardships and many difficulty. We pray that, Lord, let your promise of deliverance, as you have made in Psalm 34:19, manifest in our lives in the mighty name of Jesus, in the blood of Jesus. Oh Lord, we pray that as we sign off this evening, let your peace go with us, and may the learning we have received today translate into success in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you, Lord, for what you have done for us today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pastor Fred, where have you been all this while? So, Al
Our
Hassan,
Fred.
is Al Hassan here?
Yes.
Al Hassan, are you also fasting?
What a prayer. In fact, tomorrow I'll go to church.
Who is fasting?
Doc, I'm fasting, no.
Okay, so Al Hassan, this or
Yes,
is
Doc.
Sam who spoke? Al Hassan. So
Al
Al
Hassan,
Hassan,
yes.
I heard next week you are ending your fasting, right?
Yes. We are ending on
Okay.
Friday.
Okay, so the pastor had prayed for us on Friday after eating all the chicken and the cow and whatever. At the end of the class on Saturday, Al Hassan will also bless us. I hope
Fredo, you be powerful. What?
I hope it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. And Pastor Fred, thank you very much. Where have you been all this while? When we were in the class and people were missing, you were also missing. Okay, thank you so much and thanks for coming, guys. Please do enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Prayer there, master, too much. What?
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Hi. Oh, and it's not more sorry. Serious.